Hi, and welcome back to
Inspired to Game. I'm Sean.
And I am Lola. Today we are talking about Agueda as well as Colorfield and Donut Shop. Now these are 3 games by 25th Century Games, who we want to thank for sending us a copy of the games to review. Now these are all light family weight games that play for about 20 to 40 minutes. So we're going to cover them all at once for you. If there's one that you want to jump to, in the description we do have the chapter titles and you can go straight to them. With Agueda, you will be drafting umbrellas to place along your path to score points, as well as unveil your mural and score additional points with inviting tourists.
In Colorfields, you'll be placing and replacing tiles to create abstract paintings over the course of 3 rounds, scoring for matching edges as well as for your longest color segment.
And with Donut Shop, you will be scoring points for matching donuts in a display, as well as then boxing them to fulfill orders. Now, Agueda is the most beautiful of the 3 games. It is so colorful, and it's got a really nice production quality with the little plastic umbrellas that even sit up like they're umbrellas. And as you place them down on your path and it's unveiled, it just looks really beautiful. So it's a real pleasure to play it. Now, out of the 3, this one I think is the simplest of them all. It's very light. It's something you can play with just about anybody. It doesn't have to be a gamer. It can be played with kids. It's very simple. It's very fun. You have very simple objectives. And sometimes you can't fulfill those objectives just because the way that the umbrellas are coming out, and there's no choice about that there. So you're placing umbrellas. It is pleasant. It is sweet.
We did find that in the original game, it's 120 umbrellas for 5 players. In 6 colors, so there's no adjustment for lower player counts. So we did play another couple games trying out an adjustment with, instead of all 20 of each color, maybe just 11 for 2 players, or 13 for 3, or 16 for 4. So adjusting that so you're not fighting the statistics of pulling a color out. You get around about the same depending on player count.
Yeah, and that actually really improved the game at a 2-player level. So if you're playing it at 2-player, we do recommend doing that because it made such a big difference. Our first game, we had something like an objective of having a certain amount of oranges, and we only got 1 in the entire game that came out because there's so many umbrellas, but with 2 players you're just not drafting and going through the same quantity as if you're playing with 4 people or something like that. So that was a good adjustment. Now, the only other issue I had with this was the end game. At the end of the game, the player who completes their pathway and fills all their umbrella spots signals the end of the game, and everyone else gets 1 last turn. That could work well if you were the first player and you ended it, and then the second player gets that second turn, because now you've gotten the same amount of turns. However, if you were the last player and you finished first, and then the first player gets a second turn, they get a second scoring opportunity. So they literally have played an extra round than you and have that extra scoring opportunity. And that didn't feel quite right in a 2-player game, because that final tourist scoring opportunity, especially once your boards are pretty well filled, can be a good amount of points. So it gives a bit of a detriment to whoever is finishing first, unless it happens to work out in the way that I first mentioned. So we felt that we like to house rule that a little bit, and we're not people that house rule very often, but in this case we do feel like a little bit of an adjustment makes the game feel a bit more equitable.
So final thoughts: it is a beautiful game. It's very colorful. The acrylic tokens are wonderful. Production value is nice. A couple of things you might want to house rule depending on how you want to play it, but overall an easy family game for everyone to enjoy.
Next we have Colorfield to talk about. I had a lot of fun with this one. One of the things I really love about this one is it is a little bit more puzzly. So it's still nice and lightweight, plays quick, and I like that because you need games like this for times when you just need that filler game, or you don't have a lot to play, or you're playing with gamers that aren't as familiar with a more heavy game. But it still has a puzzly component as you're trying to decide which tiles to choose and how to orientate them onto your canvas to score the most points.
Yeah, everybody starts with a base level of tiles that as you choose tiles in the subsequent rounds, you can replace those tiles or you can actually leave them alone. And it's a game of agile thinking. The way I look at it is because in most games you make a decision and you're stuck with that to the end. In this game, you replace a tile one turn. You can replace that in a later turn because you find a better tile that's going to score you better. You don't get stuck with your past decisions.
And there are also 3 inspiration tokens that you can flip over and have an opportunity to move 2 tiles around or rotate a tile as well. So there's a good amount of flexibility as it goes out. I also love that over the course of 3 rounds, each time you're working on a different painting. So you start by priming the painting. As Sean mentioned, you're just putting random priming tiles down. And from there, you're drafting your next tiles and a certain amount of tiles in each round. And then you score it based on how many light colors are around each edge, as well as whatever longest continuous segment that you have. So each round is like its own little mini game in that way. So if you really mess up on one round, it doesn't matter. You just can make up for it on the next round. So it's got a nice little thinky puzzle.
And there are also community tool cards that come out each round. They give you a different spin on the rules and make the replayability of the game that much higher.
And one thing that's kind of fun with it is I actually enjoy the little paintings you make each round too, and seeing what you created. So it's a pleasant little game. And lastly, we have Donut Shop. Now, this turned out to be my favorite of the 3, and I was really surprised by that. One of the things that I really loved about this game is the joint tile laying mechanism of it. So as you're putting out your donuts and creating this joint display, you're creating lovely, delicious combos of lots of the same donut in same areas, which means more scoring. So one of my favorite things to do in this game is to work on scoring large swaths of donuts and then using my orders to box them up so then the next player cannot score the massive amounts that you did. It's very satisfying.
And one of the things I love is that you can, as you're putting that tile down, put it down strictly for score, get the highest score you can with it, but then you can box up an entirely different section of the board if you want.
Yeah, so you're collecting cards, which when you have a donut that is represented on the display, you'll be able to place an order for that. So you collect the orders in your hand. When you fulfill orders, you put them into the discard pile, and then you can take a box that fills those orders within the display. The bigger the box, the more points you're going to score, or coin as it is in this game. And so exactly where you put your tiles down can have absolutely no relation to what you're boxing and what you're scoring in that part of the game. There's a really nice puzzle to it that I really enjoy.
And one of the things I enjoy the most is the display for the cards, for the orders, and for the donuts. They are so highly thematic. The cards are coming out of a napkin holder, and the donut display is just like if you had walked into a Dunkin' Donuts or a Tim Hortons.
Yeah, it really adds to the production quality of it. It really adds to the experience of your play when you're taking those donuts off of an actual donut display versus just having them in a pile on the table.
Yeah.
It makes it more fun and engaging. So this is also like the rest. They're light, they play quickly. It is a ton of fun to play. So now we did enjoy all 3 of these games, and I mentioned my favorites as we went along. So Donut Shop to Colorfield, and then last Agueda. Now, how about you? Did you have a favorite of them?
I think Donut Shop is also my favorite. I think I might prefer Agueda a little bit over Colorfield, but I can't really tell you why.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And I think, honestly, it's probably just that I like the pieces, the umbrellas of Agueda a little bit more than just the tiles of Colorfield. But they're both, all 3 of these are really great games, and I would love playing all of them.
If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching today.
If you've enjoyed this content, please support the channel by subscribing.
And as always, happy gaming, folks. I don't think we have many bloopers. We're blooperless.
Oh, I think you'll find some.
I probably will. Okay.
Agueda! Her hands are like...
Talking about Agueda, as well as Colorfield and Donut Shop. Now, these are 3 games released by 20th Century Games, who we want to thank for sending us copies of this game to review. Why are you shaking your head?
What'd you say?
25th Century Games.
Sounded like you said 20th.
I might have. Okay, let's do it again just in case.
I heard 20th Century Games. I'm like,
You're like shaking.
Nope.
Okay, let's try that again.
Of course, everybody just do what you want to do. I guess. What am I trying to say? Do I even want to bring this up?
So it's each.
She's warming herself on my forearm. Absolutely. Looking at the camera enough for you? Feeling uncomfortable now? Steady to your sword. Thank you, Hibbit.
Hibbit.